have a noveless top. Are you actually serious? We have Zodiac as well, Madolche, Synchro, and I don't even know. This is a Zephyr pile as well? Don't make 30% of you that have not smashed the ever-living crap out of that subscribe button. Smash it so you guys don't miss out more Oz content. This is actually amazing. I was waiting for the day that we would get the chance to see, you know, Hungryburger.deck actually do something. And out of nowhere, it actually performed once in its life. And I mean, truly, I've not seen another success run out of this. So we have triple copies of Ash, Blossom, and Joy Spring. Triple copies of Diviner of the Herald. This is still the value card for the deck. Got 2 copies of the Candle, 1 Talismandra, 2 copies of Fenrir. This card is still absolutely bonkers. Like, this alone, it handles a lot of problems. We have 1 Sakitama with 1 copy of the Grill. We have 2 copies of the level 5, 2 copies of the level 1, 1 of the level 2, we have 1 Ben 10, and then we have 1 of the 4. Alright, and then of course we have 1 of the 3, the Chalice Slime, and then the Borger that's going to go rogue. Then we have 2 Book of Moon, 2 copies of Chalice, triple copies of the At Table Field Spell. Got triple copies of Pre-Preparation Rites, triple copies of Preparation Rites, 2 copies of Fish Recipe, 1 copy of Meat Recipe, and then we have triple copies of Today's Menu. And then we have 1 copy of the Chef's Special Recipe. Then we have 1 Relinquished Anima, 1 copy of Cross Sheep with 1 Nightmare Phoenix, 1 copy of Dynamondo, 1 Underworld Goddess, 2 copies of Herald of the Arclight, 1 Excel Synchro, 1 Baron, 1 Chaos Angel with 1 Mudmud, 1 Inits, 1 Garua, 1 Dracosplay, and 1 Starving Venom. Then we have 2 Lava Golem, 1 Vanity's Ruler, 1 Lancia, 2 Lightning Storm, triple copies of Cosmic Cyclone, triple copies of Super Polymerization, and triple copies of Evenly Matched here, wrapping up the Hungryburger Express. And I will say, I didn't particularly expect this deck to perform anytime soon, but my expectations have been shattered here, and this is actually awesome to see. Next up here we have Zoodiac. You know, I was actually super excited to see that Zeus Turbo came back. Now, how do you play this intricate piece of fine technology? Well, you normal summon a Zoo monster, you slap Borbo on it, and you attack directly. You've now met the conditions to stack 2 more of your Zoodiacs on top of it, and then you make Zeus. That is as easy as it is. Now, if you're expecting some other like crazy line of play, nah, you don't get that. So we have triple copies of Kashtira Fenrir. We have triple copies of Throwblade. Please never apply the effect of this card. You're just hammering off Zeus. We have triple copies of Whiptail. We have 1 copy of Ramram. 1 copy of Cataroost, triple copies of Ash. We also have triple copies of Droll and Lockbird, 2 copies of Ghost Bell. We also have triple copies of Gamma Seal. Actually, is pretty important. You do need to be able to out over something that might be slightly important. We also have triple copies of Drosworm and 1 Magna Hut. And then, of course, we have triple copies of Tenki for searchability, 2 copies of Desires for draw power, 2 copies of Lightning Storm for board breaking. We have 1 Monster Reborn to technically extend back a Zoodiac monster. And then we have triple copies of Solemn Steed Reich and triple copies of Infinite Permanence. Down here in the extract, you have the 1 Nightmare Unicorn with your 1 IP. We have 1 Vespinato with 1 Hammerbong, 2 copies of Chakanine, triple copies of Tiger Mortar, triple copies of Borbo, and of course, triple copies of the Zeus Man themselves. Then we have triple copies of Space Rock, triple copies of Dimension Shifter, 1 Ghost Spell, 2 copies of Cosmic Cyclone, triple copies of Book of Eclipse, and triple copies of Forbidden Lands here, wrapping up your defensive options. If you really want to play some ignorant Yu-Gi-Oh! Deck that just kind of bypasses the bare necessities of the game, I really do think that this is a strong contender for you. Like, all of your bits of moving pieces here, bring it all together. Next up here, we have the Synchro deck out of France. I've been badgered by people, hey Robbie, talk about the deck. I don't know really what you want me to talk about here, because it's just you synchro on up into a board of whatever strong monster you need, and then like post side decking you bring in Gravity Collapse, and you kind of just win the game. Like, this card right here is responsible for a lot of free wins. All right, like it itself just takes the game to a whole nother level of insanity, and it's pretty good. So we have triple copies of Stardust Synchron. We have triple copies of Jet Synchron. We have 1 copy of Satellite Synchron, 1 copy of Stardust Trail with 1 copy of Mermere. We also have 1 Doggeron, 2 copies of Illusion of Chaos, 1 Magician's Souls, triple copies of Water Enchantress with 1 Griffin Rider. Got the triple Ash Blossom with your triple Rite of Armesier. We have 1 Draco back with 1 Faithful Adventure. We have triple copies of Synchro Overtake with 1 Stardust Illumination. We also have 1 Foolish Burial with 2 copies of Talents. We also have 1 Thrust, 1 Called by the Grave, 1 Feather Duster, 2 Small World. Yeah, we're actually taking advantage of Small World in this deck. And then we have triple copies of Infinite Permanence. Then we have 1 Baron de Fleur, 1 Dispater with 1 Stardust. We have 1 Excel Synchro Stardust with 1 Omega. We also have 1 Yazi with 1 Shooting Riser, 1 Dawn Dragster with 1 Stardust Charge, 1 Hyper Librarian, 1 copy of Jet Warrior, 1 Junk Speeder, 1 Excel Synchro, 1 Herald, and 1 copy of the Formula Synchron. Then we have 2 Magna Huts, 1 Jurist Herd, triple copies of Hadoken, triple copies of Cosmic Cyclone, triple Evenly Matched, and triple copies of Gravity Collapse here, wrapping up another chunk of particularly interesting good stuff. Like I said, the fact that you can bridge the gap with Small World and actually find success with this is actually pretty impressive. This deck still remains one of the more interesting little contenders out here for the meta. So, okay, good stuff. Next up here, oh, hi, Madolche. How are you? Okay, so the fact that, you know, Herald is back at 2 puts this deck a little bit more on the map, per se. And I do like what we're seeing here for, like, the return of this deck back for, like, a little bit more defensive options. So we have triple copies of Angeli here. We have triple copies of Magdalene with triple copies of the Pudding Soucior. We have 1 copy of Pudding Cess with 2 copies of Hoo Hoo Don't Pollute. We have 2 Messengelado with triple copies of the Flourishing Hills, triple copies of the Misting Seedlings with 1 copy of the Thawing Mountains, and then we have 2 Herald of Orange Light, 1 Pinkertops with triple Ash, and then of course triple copies of Fenrir. Then we have 1 Chateau, 1 Salon, 1 copy of the Ticket, triple Pot of Prosperity, and triple Small World here. Once again, the fact that you can bridge the gap to all of these different particular cards is amazing. We also have 1 copy of Floodgate Trap Hole, 2 copies of Infinite Permanence, and 2 copies of Promenade. Down here in the next deck, we have 1 Unicorn with 2 copies of the Fresh to Start, 1 Rafflesia with 1 Baguski. We have 1 Exciton Knight with 1 Zeus. We actually have 2 copies of Shock Ala Mode, triple copies of the Tiaramisu, and triple copies of the Glass Fillet. Then we have 1 copy of Butler, 1 copy of Kumamungi, 2 copies of Jerusalem, triple copies of Magna Hut. We also have triple copies of Space Rock, your 1 Secret Village, 1 Book of Moon, and triple copies of Dark Ruler No More here, wrapping up, well, the Madolche pile here. And like I said, some of the little differences we've seen between other builds, Extrav has been kicked out. We're toggling more for the more direct advantage approach here with Pot of Prosperity to make sure that you can see the 1 immediate card that you need versus, you know, the random RNG for the draw 2. Sometimes the draw 2 is a little bit more relevant, but in this particular case, you know, you want the guaranteed out versus anything else. And the last one we have here is 60 card Zephyr pile. This actually did well. And that's a Metaphys Decoy Dragon. Holy moly, we're doing some crazy things here. So we have triple copies of Ash, Blossom, and Joy Spring. We have triple copies of Effect Veiler, triple copies of Incredible Ecclesia. We have 1 copy of Giotto, the Darkness of the Yangzing. We have 1 copy of Magma Dragon. We have 1 Metaphys Decoy Dragon, triple copies of Mo Yi, 2 copies of Tai with 1 copy of Longdong. We got 2 copies of Ara, triple copies of Ashuna, 1 copy of Sindhana, 2 copies of Vishuddha. We have the 1 copy of the Abyss Dragon Soul. We have triple copies of Zephyrath, triple copies of Zephranu, triple copies of Zephyraxi. We have 1 Called by the Grave with your triple copies of Heavenly Dragon Circle, triple Oracle, 2 copies of Pot of Desires, triple Sword Soul Merchants, 1 Summit with 1 Terraforming, and then we have triple copies of Vessel of the Dragon Cycle, triple copies of Zephyr Providence, 1 9 Pillars, your 1 Blackout, your 1 Zephyr Divine Strike, and your 1 Zephyrath, or Zephyr War. Then we have 1 Shaman, triple Monk, 1 Tornado Dragon. We have 1 Yazi with 1 Qingying, 1 Qingxing Longyun, 2 copies of Chizao, 1 Draco Berserker, 1 Denglong, your 1 Xiaofeng, and 2 copies of Boxia. Then we have 1 Pinkertops, 1 Gamma, 1 Driver, triple Dark Ruler, 1 copy of Feather Duster, 2 Lightning Storm, 1 Raigeki, triple Evenly Matched, and 2 copies of Royal Decree here, wrapping up your chunk of some relatively interesting good stuff out of this week. So trust me, I'm interested to see what other cool decks will come here, but what do you guys think about these goodies? Please leave a comment down below, tell me what you guys think. I'll see your beautiful faces back here later in the day, guys. Peace. Patreon. Thank you.
Thank you so much for watching. Check out these other videos.